Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel in a very strange background. It's new to you and it's new to me, so let's do it. This is my bedroom. This is not the color that the walls will stay. You all know this already. I feel like if this is your first video, I feel this need to explain everything. But we're not talking about moving today or even home renovations. Today we're going to be talking about my son. He had his tonsils removed and his adenoids removed. He's 5 years old. Oh my gosh, it was an intense recovery, and I thought we could talk about it because I got so many questions on Instagram, and I just think it's one of these videos where it may not be the most interesting thing if you're a frequent viewer of my channel, but if you're searching for this, I think this could help. So we're going to talk about that today. However, if you are one of my regular viewers, this is my bedroom. We've been moving, as you know, and this is the brightest window I have in the house, I think, with a background I don't mind. So this is where we're going to be filming for a little bit until I get my office and my studio and everything set up. That'll come eventually. If you'd like to learn more about what's happening with all of this move and everything, because it's been kind of this wild journey, click the playlist up here or either up here, wherever you see the little eye, and go take a look. I think so far there's about 8 to 10 videos and they're all in order, and I think you'll enjoy it because it was a thing, from the announcement to the declutter to the selling to the buying to all the things. Okay, so let's back it up. I'm going to give you the reasons why we're doing the surgery, then the surgery itself, and then the recovery. So it's going to be broken up into those three. I'm going to be as clear and concise as I can be because as parents, worrying about your child going through the surgery, it's a huge decision to make. It's a big surgery and the recovery is pretty intense. So it is certainly not something to decide quickly, which we certainly didn't, because this is not a routine surgery anymore. And it's really something you gotta think hard if this is what you want to do, because it was a lot. Fireworks.
Fireworks.
We go to bed.
Go to bed.
No drinks, no food in the night.
No drinks, no food in the night.
I wake you up early.
I wake you up early.
Put some cozy clothes on.
Put some cozy clothes on.
Me, you, and Dad are gonna go to the place for the surgery, to the hospital. Esme will stay here with Grandpa.
The hospital?
Yeah, they do at the
Why
hospital.
does he have to at the hospital?
Well, because that's where they have the good doctors. All good. It's not scary.
I hate
had you at a hospital.
I hate it.
It's not great. But
There's blood all everywhere.
no, there isn't. Not even any.
What? I didn't know that was on.
So it's all good.
If his mom was in there, that would be 4 people.
No kidding. So it's gonna be good, okay? And then we'll come home and we'll snuggle like babies.
No, no, Vlad's gonna come over.
That is Nora's problem.
Let's
Go investigate.
I hate him.
Let's go investigate. All right, so if I take you back in time, when Jack was born, he was a noisy little thing, even from the get-go, and I have a very clear memory of putting him to sleep on one of his first nights and really paying attention and realizing this baby's not breathing. I was waiting for him to do another inhale and it wasn't coming, and I scooped him up like a little baby burrito and looked at him, and he went, oh, and looked at me, and we were like, dude, what's happening? So we had this little moment. And it's kind of been like that ever since. So since Jackie was young, and when he gets sick, he gets what I would refer to as sleep apnea. And so he takes long pauses when he sleeps in his breathing, and then and has to have a big inhale. Now, out of privacy for my son, I'm not going to share those videos, but I did track over the last year especially what those pauses look like and when they flared up. So Jack has had a combination of breathing pattern issues. So when he's laying flat, and especially when he's sick and he's sucking in air, it's almost like his rib cage, I can't really, so this part here is completely sucking in air, and all you see is his rib cage. Looks like you can see his skeleton real clear, and it just is sucking in air. And it's kind of horrifying to see that, because really what you're feeling for your child is they're not getting enough air in. And that's it. So that would happen when he would get sick. I'm talking even a touch of a run, a cold, a runny nose, his whole face would just leak. Like, it didn't seem like there was enough space in his face, I'm not even kidding, to like contain the fluid. And he would get sick often. Lots of ear infections, lots of doses of medicine in the winter. I mean, for those that have been kind of with me in this journey and watching the vlogs, this is not, I mean, if you were to go back, you'd go, oh my God, yeah, look at that pattern. It was like constantly. And so then we got referred to an ear, nose, and throat doctor. So when we met with our ENT, you know, he was very clear and he was like, listen, this is not routine surgery anymore. We don't just give them out like we used to when our parents were young, or even when I was young. Like, they just handed that stuff out. So it was like, we need to track how often he's getting sick, his sleep, and like all of that. So then in that time, he had some dental work done. And when he had the dental work done, they had to put him under general anesthetic. And I mean, all of any like type of anesthesia is terrifying because it's heavy duty. And oh gosh, I don't want to talk about that. I have like trauma from that because I held him while they put him under and it was like his body twitched. It was freaking terrifying. Anyway, I mean, I have a whole video on that because both kids have been through some dental work. Sorry, gave them my soft teeth, which are cute, but can get cavities really easy. Anyway, so when he came out of surgery, they said, you know, he's got really large adenoids. And I was like, I know. And actually, when we saw the ENT for the first time, he's like, I can hear it in his voice, his large adenoids. He's like, I can see it in his eyes because he had really dark circles. Now, he sleeps a lot. Like, he's actually my better sleeper of my two kids, but he could be sleeping better and he could be getting more restful sleep, which is the big issue when you have sleep apnea, right? So he wasn't like 100% diagnosed with sleep apnea, but we could tell from the breathing, from the sickness, from all of the things, from the surgery that he previously had where they confirmed he had large adenoids, that he was definitely a candidate for the adenoid removal and the tonsil removal. So now fast forward many, many months, we've gone through many bouts of antibiotics. We've met with the ENT like 3 times, and now he goes, well, listen, let's take him for a hearing test just to confirm his hearing is fine, because if it wasn't, maybe he'd be a candidate for tubes in his ears. P.S. I think a lot of this, I don't actually quote me on any of this. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a mom who's dealing with her child having gone through the surgery. But my brother had his tonsils removed when he was a kid. Tonsils, adenoids, and tubes put in his ears. And my husband's family, I think Dean may have had his tonsils removed. His mom can't quite confirm it. There were 6 kids. Life was a blur back then. But like, there's been a combination of sleep apnea being very apparent on Dean's side of the family. Like, a few of his siblings all have the masks and everything, which cool. But like, obviously there's a little bit of like, he's genetically predisposed to having some stuff happening. And ultimately we decided we're gonna go ahead with the surgery. Now, everybody and their cousin will tell you that the recovery is intense, but like, guys, like, I'm day 11 right now post-surgery, and it's finally like this, everyone says day 10 it's like the clouds part and like life somewhat returns to normal, and truth be told, it has. But wow, I'm exhausted. My life has been on pause for the last 10 days. Like, woe is me. I mean, it's fine. This is what you got to do. But it's just, wow, it was a lot. So the lead up to the surgery, I was a wreck. We had moved on June 28th. Surgery was July 2nd. Just life got real busy there for a minute. And I have to say, the hospital took such good care of him. I mean, they were so great in the way that they distracted him on his way to surgery, where when I was getting a little emotional as you're like handing your baby over to have surgery done, Jack didn't actually see how upset I was. Like, I was crying. When I cry, I mean, it's like I get blotchy and like I'm so fair that my skin goes very red, and it's like, are you okay, Mom? I didn't want him to see me like that, but I couldn't control my emotions. And like, thank goodness Dean was home, which was amazing. He got extra time off to help take care of Jack post-surgery. Surgery went well. They removed what they had to remove, which was great. And I mean, it went as well as we could expect, you know. It is a risky surgery though. And like, you don't want to search too deep into the depths of the internet because you're going to hear some horror stories. And we did our research on like the surgeon that we had, and he had a very good reputation. And so, like, in no means am I saying in this video that you should get it. We have seen a difference though. I'm going to skip to the end. When Jack sleeps now, and I mentioned he co-sleeps, I can barely hear him. And I find like I'm having trouble sleeping because I'm so used to this little pug sleeping an inch away from my face that now it's so quiet and I'm like, what? So I have to, I'm not even kidding. 3 times last night when I woke up, I like put my hand on his chest to make sure his little diaphragm was moving up and down because that's how quiet he is. It is absurd. It's absurd. Okay, so surgery went well. The first night was pure hell. Hell, guys. He was like doing okay, and obviously you're completely panicked and you're like, get as much liquid into this child as possible. So like every 10 minutes I'm giving him liquid. Naturally you stay at the hospital for, like, we stayed for 5 hours is what they suggest after the surgery. They make sure he's drinking. They get him on this cute little sticker chart to, you know, get him excited about drinking and like getting all these stickers. And of course this will change depending on the age of your child. And I have to say, like, I feel like this was a perfect age to do it for Jack because he was old enough I could reason with him. Like, if you don't drink, you're gonna bleed and it's gonna suck and we're gonna go back to the hospital. So I had to play like harsh mama for a little bit, but he understood and he would drink even though it was painful. He's not a big fan of sweets. I could not get very many popsicles in him. He doesn't like ice cream. I know, he's kind of like his mom. I mean, I eat ice cream, but it's not my go-to, you know? He just doesn't like sweets. So he was on a diet of like runny eggs and eventually adding some cut up sausages, like breakfast sausages in there, yogurt, and that was kind of it. Yogurt drinks, lots of juice. I did not care the sugar content. I just wanted liquid in that baby. The breath was horrifying. I mean, it's still pretty raunchy because it's like decaying flesh in your throat. It's disgusting. And it's like, whew, right? You're not brushing your teeth basically because I'm not putting a toothbrush anywhere near the back of your mouth. And your adenoids are like, you know, so I'm not gonna like do that. My biggest fear was him bleeding post-surgery. So I'm a little all over the place because I'm literally still sleep deprived. But that first night, the pain was so bad that he was shivering in pain, and it's so scary to see your child in that state. And you can't reason with them because they're in so much pain. So we were doing a combination of the Tylenol, so acetaminophen, and Advil, ibuprofen, and doing this like, not double dosing, but like you dose every few hours according to what your doctor recommends. And I'm not going to tell you what that is because I don't want you to do exactly what I say. And then it depends. It depends on your child. It depends on the surgery. It depends on the year, because I'm telling you, this stuff changes from year to year. And the internet is forever. So you might be watching this video 3 years from now, you know? Things like they used to give kids Tylenol with codeine, but it's been determined that codeine is really dangerous in kids. They used to give you liquid morphine when you would leave. Turns out morphine is really dangerous. Well, it is. It's a big drug, and so you have to like dose it accordingly. And you can't give morphine at night because morphine can really affect your breathing. And if you're a child like Jack who is getting the surgery because of breathing issues, it can be like double scary. So all we had was Advil and Tylenol. And on the day 1 was horrible. Day 2 was a little bit better. Day 3 was a little bit better. Day 4 through 6 got real shit, and maybe even day 4 through 9. It was hard because what happens is it gets better and then you dip again because the scabs fall off in the back and then you're like raw again. It's so hard, the recovery. Like, it's so hard. It's almost like a 2-hurdle thing, or maybe 3. Like, you get through the surgery, which is terrifying, and then you get through the first hump of like recovery, and then you get through the second, and then it's like day 8 you're almost seeing the light, and day 9 was way better, and day 10 and day 11 now here we are is like significantly better. So the only issue I have, and it's not entirely the doctor's fault, I always like to err on the side of like give people the benefit of the doubt, but I was really pissed off because he's a human being and he went away for like 2 days and I could not get additional pain medication. So what ended up happening is about day 5, all of a sudden we could no longer manage Jack's pain. So he would not make it to the next dose so we would give him Tylenol, and then I'd say an hour before his Advil was due, he would be in like excruciating pain. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? And then again, an hour before the next dose, we could not get to that next dosing hour. And so I called the doctor and he was away and nobody else could prescribe us medication. So it was super frustrating. I take him to the hospital. Yes, Canada's great and we have great health care, but there are some pockets of shit, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And like the ER situation, at least in my hood, is total shit. And no matter what, you're waiting like 3 to freaking 12 hours to see somebody in the emergency room. And it's super frustrating, especially when, had my doctor been around, I would just call him and he would send the prescription to my local pharmacy and I would just go freaking pick it up. But instead, I'm taking a child who's in pain, who's just been at the hospital, and now we're back and we're waiting. And I sat in that damn ER for 1 full hour and they hadn't even taken our health cards yet and like registered us. And I was like, I'm out. So I was super pissed off and I was like, I don't know what to do, but we're just gonna come home. Like, I just had it in my mind. He didn't have an infection. I couldn't 100% confirm that, but there was no fever. The breath was foul, but it wasn't getting worse. Like, it was getting better every day. And he was doing pretty good in the day. It was the nighttime that was total shit. Now, in side story, I've heard a few things where apparently there's some night terrors that can happen as you're coming off of the anesthetic. So a lot of parents whose kids have had big surgeries say that for like 10 days after the surgery, they're waking up with night terrors. I don't know if that's 100% true, but I can confirm that we woke up with night terrors and pain for the last 9 days. Last night was the first night. Oh no, he cried last night. I was going to say he didn't, but he did. He cried for a little bit, but he was easier to put back to sleep. So it's been intense. It's been a really, really hard recovery, and I'm so grateful for everyone that was on Instagram, like messaging me and staying in touch with me, because it was a lot. I'm so glad that Dean was off. Things I kept staying positive for was that it's going to improve his breathing. He is going to get better rest all around, like he'll have more oxygen intake into his body. And this will be an amazing thing for him because he will not be as sick in the winter months. And I have met adults who were candidates for this surgery but didn't have it as children, and they wish they had, because it is one of the hardest surgeries to get as an adult. They honestly don't do it, and it's seriously painful. So I'm glad we did it. It wasn't like a cosmetic surgery that he needed. Like, it was something he needed, but there's still that little bit of guilt that's like, you know, it's not routine. You know, they don't do the surgery anymore. I had to fight to get him the surgery. And then when I did, to see him in so much pain, it kind of like, it hurt a lot because I wish he didn't have to go through that pain. But I know in 6 months or even in a month from now, I'll be like singing a different tune. I don't say I regret doing it because I know it's for the best, but it was wow. So if you think your kid kind of maybe needs it but doesn't really, honestly think twice about it. Do your research, talk to your doctor, talk to your peers who have had this surgery. It's brutal. It's the tonsil part that's brutal. If it's just adenoids, it's not so bad. If it's tubes in the ears, it's not so bad. But the tonsils is like, wow. It was really intense. How did the surgery go?
Good.
How old are you?
5.
You're 5. And are you going to be going to summer camp?
Yeah.
What kind of camp are you going to do?
Gymnastics.
Gymnastics camp. Is your throat still sore?
No.
No?
Not right now.
That's good. You're back to eating normal food?
Yeah.
And was the surgery like scary at all? Kinda. So you're feeling better? What are we, day 14? That's awesome. I mean, look at him go. Whoa! All right, well, thanks for talking with me. Want to give me a high five? Bam. All right, love your face. I would love for you guys to comment below if your kids have had this surgery. I'm so grateful for all of you that have had it with your kids, and then were messaging me saying just 2 more days you'll be in the clear, because it was really hard. It's really hard. I still feel like I need like a day of just like quiet, by myself, quiet solitude in a field or something. Like, yeah, it's been a hard go as a parent. I think it's compounded by the fact that we literally just moved. But yeah, it's been really tough. So woe is me. Didn't even happen to me. But as a parent, I feel like you feel things on a different level when it's your child, you know? So thankfully it is, you know, something where he's going to be fine in like 5 days and he'll be back to his normal self. But I know that the first hurdle is like 10 days and then the second one is 14 days. So we're day 11. So we're almost there. But yeah, it's been, It's been a lot. There was one point he woke up in the night and he had a little blood spittle, and I was like, don't freak out. But yeah, I mean, oh, did I even mention? Like at night, you're waking up. We'd keep him awake till midnight, and then his next dose was at 2. And then it was like a 6, and then it was at 9, and then it was, yeah. So I haven't slept a full night in a really long time. Does it show? All right, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to this ramble. I hope for the parents out there who are considering the surgery, this gives you a little bit more insight. But of course, do your due diligence, talk to doctors, talk to peers, all that good stuff. And I wish you all the best if you do go through it. But I will say this, they are pretty resilient, and as difficult as all of it was, he was pretty chipper in the day. As long as the pain was managed, he was in a pretty good mood, and like was able to go swimming in our backyard and like, you know, kind of be his normal self, just a little bit less fun. But yeah, anyway. Okay guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.